Imagine controlling an empire so enormous that a message from one end could take weeks to reach the other. At its height, Rome stretched from Britain and Spain in the west to Egypt, Syria, and the borders of Persia in the east. But there was a problem. The empire had become too large for one government to control effectively. Enemies were attacking its borders, generals were fighting for power, economies were struggling, and emperors were constantly being overthrown. Rome had conquered the Mediterranean. Now, Rome had to figure out how to survive itself. And eventually, the solution would change the Roman world forever. The empire would split in two. The warning signs appeared long before the empire officially divided. During the 3rd century, Rome entered a period historians often call the crisis of the 3rd century. Emperors came and went at an astonishing speed. Armies sometimes declared their own commanders emperor. Civil wars erupted. At the same time, Rome faced pressure from powerful enemies along nearly every frontier. The empire wasn't simply fighting foreigners, it was increasingly fighting itself. And one emperor realized that something radical had to change. His name was Diocletian. In 284 CE, Diocletian became emperor. But instead of trying to personally control everything, he did something extraordinary. He reorganized the empire. He created a system called the Tetrarchy, ruled by 4 emperors. 2 senior emperors, known as Augusti, would govern different parts of the empire. 2 junior emperors, called Caesars, would assist them and eventually succeed them. The idea was simple. If one emperor couldn't defend the entire empire, create several emperors who could. For a while, the system worked. But Diocletian's experiment also revealed something important. The Roman Empire was becoming increasingly difficult to govern as a single political unit. But the Tetrarchy didn't last exactly as Diocletian imagined. Civil war returned, and eventually, one man emerged victorious: Constantine the Great. In 312 CE, Constantine defeated his rival Maxentius at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. He became one of the most powerful men in the Roman world. And Constantine understood something Diocletian had already discovered. The empire needed a strong center. He eventually reunited the Roman Empire under his rule. But then Constantine made another decision that would have enormous consequences. He founded a new imperial capital, not in Rome, but in the east, Constantinople. Why move the center of Roman power east? Because the eastern provinces were incredibly valuable. Egypt supplied enormous amounts of grain. Syria was wealthy and strategically important. Asia Minor connected Europe and Asia. And Constantinople stood at one of the most important crossroads in the ancient world. Meanwhile, Rome itself was no longer the unquestioned center of political power. The empire was changing. Its richest regions were increasingly in the east. Its greatest military threats were also there. Especially one enemy that Rome could never ignore: the Persian Empire. By the 4th century, the Roman Empire was beginning to feel like 2 different worlds. The West was centered around regions such as Italy, Gaul, Hispania, and North Africa. The East was dominated by wealthy cities such as Constantinople, Antioch, and Alexandria. The languages and cultures also differed. Latin remained dominant in the West. Greek was increasingly dominant in the East. But politically, they were still part of one Roman world. And then came the problem Rome couldn't escape. The borders were under pressure everywhere. Then, in the late 4th century, the pressure became catastrophic. Large groups of Goths entered Roman territory after fleeing the advancing Huns. Roman authorities struggled to manage the migration. Tensions exploded. In 378 CE, Roman forces confronted the Goths near Adrianople. The result was devastating. The Roman army suffered one of its most famous defeats. The Emperor Valens was killed. And suddenly, the old image of Rome as an unstoppable military machine looked very different. The empire needed stronger regional leadership than ever. After decades of political struggle, the empire repeatedly found itself governed by different emperors in different regions. Sometimes these divisions were temporary, but one division would become permanent. In 395 CE, Emperor Theodosius I died. His sons inherited the empire. Arcadius ruled in the east, Honorius ruled in the west. There was still an idea of one Roman Empire. But from this point onward, the eastern and western governments became increasingly separate, and the consequences would be enormous. The Western Empire now faced a brutal combination of problems. Its territory was harder to defend. Its tax base was shrinking. Political instability continued, and Germanic kingdoms were establishing themselves inside former Roman territory. In 410 CE, something almost unthinkable happened. Rome itself was sacked by the Visigoths. The city that had once conquered the Mediterranean was now being attacked from within the empire it had built, and the West continued to weaken. But here's where the story gets surprising. While the Western Empire was collapsing, the Eastern Roman Empire survived. And it wasn't simply luck. The East had wealthier cities, a stronger tax base, important trade routes, a powerful capital protected by enormous walls, and a government that could still raise and supply armies. The Eastern Romans would later become known to historians as the Byzantine Empire. But they never called themselves Byzantines. They called themselves what they believed they were. In 476 CE, the Western Roman Emperor Romulus Augustulus was removed from power. This date is traditionally used to mark the fall of the Western Roman Empire. But Rome didn't simply disappear. Roman law continued. Roman traditions continued. And in the East, the Roman Empire continued for nearly another 1,000 years. Its people still spoke of themselves as Romans. Its emperors still claimed the Roman imperial legacy. And Constantinople remained one of the greatest cities on earth. So perhaps the Roman Empire didn't simply die. Perhaps it transformed. The Roman Empire split because it had become too vast, too complex, and too difficult for one government to manage. But the split wasn't simply caused by one emperor, one battle, or one invasion. It was the result of centuries of pressure. Political instability, military threats, economic changes, and the growing importance of the Eastern Mediterranean. The West eventually fell, but the East survived until 1453, when Constantinople was conquered by the Ottoman Turks. That's more than 1,000 years after Rome supposedly fell. So the next time you hear that the Roman Empire simply collapsed, remember this. Rome didn't vanish overnight. It split. It transformed. And one half survived for another 1,000 years. If you enjoyed this journey through history, like, comment, and subscribe to Echoes Through Time. Because the past is full of stories that are far stranger than fiction.